Live. Hey guys, it's the Tinman here. I'm live and in mission. I just got this map. It's kind of a fun map and much better on this side. This is kind of my backyard. And where I hang out in this map the most is right around here, so I'm kind of central for this whole valley, Fraser Valley system. You get to see the Fraser River come down. Simon Fraser University. Lord Stanley, I think, did these rivers and stuff. Stanley Park, Stanley Cup. So, a big significance in our world is this little country of Canada. Hey, we got CA, how's it going? And we got Mary. Hello, Mary. Glad you guys could pop in. 3 watchers, cool. Well, thumbs up already. That's very, very kind, and I bet you I know who did that. But I'm just saying. So, I was just showing off this map of our area, Fraser Valley, how vast it is. How big is it from end to end? I would say... Do I see a scale? Yeah, I don't see the scale. Must be on this side. So that's the Hatzic inset one. Scale in kilometers. But I don't know if that's just for this side, so I'm not going to bother with it. Who knows if it's in scale. It's a lot of miles. I would say, yeah, from end to end. Let me just guess them. Up to... Oh, we're right up at Hope. And we're all the way down at our inlet that goes into our big ocean part in the Pacific, you know. You guys should, it would be interesting, I bet you would find it interesting if you're not from the area, if you just went to British Columbia and you, on Google Maps or Google Earth or something, and you just kind of looked over the area that I hang out in, and you'd be able to pick up a couple of spots from there, Mission, British Columbia. So I was just showing that, because that's what I do. So let me do this. So I guess I didn't title my thing properly. Hope I'm not squeaking there too much. But I decided, I took a few notes here. It's a hot day, I feel like shit. You know me, I'm usually wearing a hat and stuff. And I've decided to take my hat off, but the cars are noisy and I'm wearing an earplug. I finally went out and bought earplugs, disciplined myself. They were too expensive, but... You know, they're $3.50 and I'm almost not buying them. And I said, no, dude, you got to get back on them. I think that's something I've been missing on when I'm a little bit bitchy. So anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a focus for the people who might be watching, and you could pass on the message maybe there. Thanks, Mary. And maybe you could pass on the message and write it on there that... I'm just on a bit of a rant of what I wanted to talk about. And basically what I want to do is I want to do a continuation from my 23rd day. So if you happen to watch part 1 of this, its title something goes, I think, from day 1 to day 23, including day 23. And I'm just going to do a little quick run through what went down in that 23 days. I found the location. I walked into a location. I decided as I was pulling into the spot that, hey, I'm going to try to find where they leave a trail mark kind of thing. Thought that's where my mind was. I got to walk into a location. That was the very first kind of day. And within that day, there was enough information to intrigue my mind to want to come back. For me to commit in those kind of things, and actually back in those days, tight on money and all that kind of stuff, I came all the way back there, and let's call it a 40-minute drive. And then I did the next day, and then I did the next day. And I gave myself probably, like, I don't know, maybe the 5th, 6th day off. Forced myself to do that, and then I came back again, and again, and again, and again. On day 13 is when I first had my first face-to-face. You can go watch that video under my my video 100% calls. So what I'm claiming on that is through a video, you can have an experience of a 100% claim of mine through video that you're watching some Bigfoot action and stuff. Well, on this in particular video, the first face-to-face, I confirm it with my eyes. I am telling you right now, I confirmed it. I'm looking at him also with my eyes, struggling to see, but I'm seeing. And we're getting it on getting them on video through the camera, and I'm also looking a lot at the camera, so I'm getting the references, obviously. And that's my first face-to-face. On the 15th day is when I had my second encounter, and this is one that I'll say I think I have it in that section, and it's a pretty confirmed 100% through video. I think all we need to do is, I don't have the video expertise, and it's going to come to a time where we do that, and I can go back on all this stuff, and I'll have, I'll make sure it's known, because it's all the footing pathway to what we're all doing today. And we're all contributing together. Whether we're always fully supporting each other or not, we are supporting each other. I don't always agree with my dad, and I don't think as I walk away I should be mad at him about it, that I'm not agreeing with him, right? I should be convinced and understood how intelligent he is, and we should be able to have that kind of a difference. So anyways, that's day 15, was kind of an encounter that's, up there, man. It's just wicked. Goes on for a long time. Can't remember what I call it, but go back to August or something last year. Day 19 was my third encounter, and this one, once again, I'll throw it into my 100% bracket through eyesight. No, neither of these two were hearing. Had no sound connection with them other than bird stuff going on, but I know at times there were some really chickadee kind of birds around that I was truly following around. So maybe they turned into the big... I'm just... What? If you heard that, somebody's trying to get a hold of me, but I don't worry about it unless it ends up being 2 right away. So let's hope it's not 2, so I don't have to worry. I'll let it go to 3 or 4 or 5. Anyways, so I'm on day 19, and I'm on my third, and this was my third experience, my third interaction. This is where I talk my big male. I'm going to set this down. So I talk about my big male and turn towards you a bit. I hope you guys are enjoying, my studio. I didn't look to see if I had any Ginchy sitting out or something like that. But anyways, so day 19, let's just jump into that again. So day 19, that male. Yeah, I'm not going to say much, because we're just running through this, aren't we? Just picture this big of a handset with me, and picture 2 ferns like this, and you're going to see a back of a head, eyes, and nose, snout, nose style nose. So you figure that out yourself, and that's what went down that day. And gray baboonish. Just go baboonish is a closest resemblance, unless you want to start almost making a cartoon type picture. And to me, and what I see on the video, and what many people have seen now, one chap had even commented that he noticed the nostrils being flared towards me, and asked what was up with that. And I was just so happy to hear him writing that, because somebody's seeing that going on. So that was my 19th third experience. So you think about it. There was one other time or whatever when I went into the woods and I walked and I thought, I'm going to see if I can see a Bigfoot or something like this, right? But I swear, I didn't know how to look at the ground. I didn't know how to look at the trees. I didn't know to look at the clouds. I did not know anything to look before. Other than that, I had figured out on Google and with a couple of videos and stuff like that, and confirmed that it was a lake. I can't remember what it's called, but you'd see it in my I think I have it under a thing, my first Bigfoot experiences or something like that, right? And it's kind of an interesting thing because it's another way other people can do backup and follow and do checks on people. And it's a certain style that I did it. Confirmed information, confirmed that they were on an island, and I think I had no clue that they were on an island until going through this Google thing. And what I did was I ended up grabbing other people's angles and stuff. And yeah, because this was very first day, right? Like kind of my very first time, and that was 2 years or so ago. And that's okay, Mary. Everything's cool. And so I jumped back to there. Lots of times, Mary, like what people can only do is they can come on, they can show their support because, hey, there's Tinman. They come on and they can't come back on again. They might come back and listen to it later. They might zip through. We all got our styles, and I admit many times I have to do that, and many times I don't get to see what I want to see, and many times I do really make sure I watch what I'm honed in on watching. And I get away from Bigfoot world, I will tell you that. I go watch Scotty Kramer. I go watch Jamie, he built a robot and stuff. Jamie, I can never remember his last name, Manzel or something like that. But he's another Canadian guy that's now down in Panama, and he's just an unbelievable, interesting character. And he's Canadian, so I think I kind of relate. Anyways, so we're jumping back onto this, and so I said, so now I'm going up to my 23rd, so I was supposed to go through this quickly, so zip through this, everybody. Anyway, so my 23rd was, oh, I'm reading the wrong thing. Lost one. 23rd, oh yeah, I kind of got lost in my directions. I found that other habitat, and I went up there and confirmed kind of to myself that I can track. So that was awesome, because the 2 days, I believe, before, I'm like showing the camera to the back, and this would be, I don't know, like just 20 days into my operation, right, guys? And I think I put up the video, maybe not, it might be on something else. I can't, that's when I was learning how to really get into uploading and doing different things. So anyways, and I pointed my camera to the back. I said, you guys are going to learn how to track through that kind of stuff. Next day I realized I actually do know how to track, and I didn't have to go through that stuff. Anyways, so then I'm jumping forward now, and I'm going to go to something super, super interesting. Because this is another 100% guaranteed by me on video in the black of night. It's a vocalization, it's a threatening night and stuff like that. Previous the day earlier, I get to put this out. I get to pick up my water because I know where I'm at. So through all this stuff, and I'm jumped from 23rd day to the 6th week. And because of that, in between was a whole bunch of different very eventful stuff. I remember somewhere, I don't know where it was, but on my second week, let's call it, I so badly just wanted to kind of quit this thing, because I knew it was just coming to a scale of too much information or something, so much or something, right? But anyways, I persisted through. Now I'm jumping up to my 6th week, and in between that time, I had a whole bunch of things. I seen lots. In that 6 weeks, I seen hundreds of footprints, because the first group habitat that I found, I believe at first they found it interesting to leave footprints around for the few humans that were logger guys that would come in there and chop up some firewood or something. They just parked by a gate and walked through here, and that's where they crossed over to and used quite often as an eating area. I called it the eating area. Anyway, so they'd leave some footprints, and I guess they were probably amused, and most people are just not even whatever type things, so whatever. So there was a lot of those kind of prints that were deemed in mud for a long time. And clayish kind of mud and stuff like that, right? So, because road building equipment and stuff, they have to throw the different levels of gravel in there, so it becomes an assortment of that kind of thing. Back on this side, I just came through tons and tons of pressed footprints, like a lot of stuff in minimal dirt stuff, a lot on moss stuff. That's when I started to realize, whatever. I don't want to backtrack too much. So I was learning lots of information, tree climbing, whatever. And I was confirming on a lot of it. It was getting beat into my soul, the truthness of this thing. And I would get to see a scuff mark like this that could get me to connect with this scuff mark. And if you don't first see this scuff mark, you might never connect with this scuff mark. And then I got to connect with this scuff mark. Next thing you know, I got to go all the way up to the top of trees and look at the top of the tree and see if one of the baby Sasquatch have worked his way all the way up there, pulled the branch down, or is he little enough to be able to go like this and he's up there? Do you remember being that kid? I do. On a tree where you go the highest. Anyway, so I got to see the language of that. And it doesn't mean I climbed all those trees, but I've looked at a lot of examples. Because also about that part, in most of our cases, that limb is no longer a real trunk structure in most cases, I'm saying. We'll figure that out. I say it's part of the branch system and mixed in with the sucker system. So its mentality to me in so many of these cases was, I'm a branch, I'm a branch, I'm a branch. And they would go, And these are different things why I started to realize that they're able to conform the trees in certain shapes and stuff. Back in those days, I realized I was figuring that there was some kind of heat-based energy they can do. Can they strike up a fire? There's nothing that showed me that they can strike up a fire. Have there been fires around in their spots? There's been a lot of fire, heat, flame style damage that I've come across. And a lot of that stuff, you can almost follow the borders different than like what we would stick in a piece of wood into the fire so it gets charcoal that deep. These kind of depths sometimes just such surfacey depths throughout the whole thing, and it's so similar, and the piece can be just huge, and it's like all the charcoal is the same depth all the way through. So you can kind of see where I go with the controlled heat there, and then there was tree shaping there that was just blowing my mind. So go back and watch some of those videos. You don't have to watch them all if you don't want, but just periodically throw one in for some excitement, because then you get to actually see my full walk. That's one thing you get to see from me, is 100% my full walk. If you want to see a little bit before my full walk, I'm going to tell you something. I've had a couple of other YouTube channels, and just the other day, I don't know what it was, but I went on to an old thing, maybe one of Jamie's comments, that's right. Things, and I looked through the comments, and I seen one of my other channels that I have unconnected with this channel. So I went on and looked at it and stuff. But anyway, so I thought, you know what, I might as well tell you guys about it. And then you get to see me kind of before my tinnitus injury, I think. So before those irritations started to come in, I think I'm pretty well the same guy. But I don't know, you guys can see what you want to see, and it's called Mr. Drew, and I think there's a space there, so enjoy that if you want. And I'm just getting a little cool air here. That's one of my problems. I do put those windows too high. There was the lawnmower out here a few minutes ago. More like a while ago now. And plus there's a bank here, so that noise does bounce off the bank somewhat. But I'm going to get back into the story time. Whoever's out there, thank you very much for tuning in. Great to see the turnout. It's just daytime and stuff. Like, this is just, everybody has their regular life pretty much around a lot of places of the world right now. Okay, so 6th week then, right? Yes. So I had all those other experiences, stuff going on. Around the 6th week. 6th. Ish. Just in case you end up figuring it out by math that it's not quite on this thing. I think by now I went to both sides of the Fraser River, which is a really big river system. I'm going to just... So it's a really big river system. I've said that many times. This is it right here. There's a train on this side, there's a train on the other side, there's a number of train tracks that do whatever right in that area on the other side. Do some splitting up. These ones just go completely east at this point here, staying following this side of the river. Great highways. They love these highways. We can't afford in our budgets to do the tree cleanup. Just go up there and Google Earth. You know, people talk about now they're seeing more whatever designs. Look for heavy tree growth. You know, you can do the 8-year thing or whatever maybe on Google Earth. Well, if you go along the train track, like I haven't even done this myself, but I'm going to imagine 8 years ago in so many areas of the train track system, there's not going to be a lot of bush. And they can start with a lot of low-lying bush because that's great for hiding, and it's great to help out coyotes and stuff. Like, they are going to like those different things within certain boundaries because they help keep their identity hidden, obviously. And that should be helpful too. Anyways, so now I'm on my 6th week here, and I'm over here one day on my side of the river, on the north side of the river, looking south towards my American counterpart down there. And I thought to myself, well, if they're on the other side of the river and stuff, because I located them over on a mountain over there and stuff, and I call that, you know, it's just a clan over there. It's where the big rock quarry is and stuff like that. So when you see the great big rocks I'm around and stuff, that's that area. And I think to myself, well, if they're over there and stuff, what about our campgrounds? You know, there's a campground right here on the other side of the river. See, sometimes when you guys got to understand, I'm going to just jump out of this for a second, you got to understand, this is, for me on my levels, it's actually very upsetting. It's truly heartfelt, and I know some of you people are connecting with it, and you're coming along for the walk, and you're growing on your understanding and stuff like this. But for me now, to be tracing my mind all through these steps and stuff is, I would say, feel privileged, because I'm not wrong. And this movement wasn't me covering up a lie, or my eyes going over there covering up a lie, or whatever. You know, all our human paranoia. Sometimes we got to just go with our heart and go with what you know, and you add it to me. Don't take me and add me to you. You figure out your own crap and realize that, hey, some of these points are coming together. Backing off now. That's just hopeful, because I'm going to figure out that pill that's just chilling me. I'm coming down, and I'm just telling this story right now. So I go over to this park. It's just on the other side of the Mission Bridge. It is the Mission and Matsqui side. Matsqui native name. And you just go off of the bridge and you come around, and there's an under the bridge where it's a big bridge. You know, like for our area, it was built back in like, I think 1980 or something like that. It was a huge bridge for that time. Anyways, and it was a great idea. So under it is a nice camp spot, about 5 camp spots, some picnic area, great picnic area. It's a great spot for people who don't mind people going over bridges and stuff like that. Sometimes, you know, to be in our world, you know, in that outside world that quick is very helpful. Yeah. Anyways, so, yeah, but I'm not talking about sightings. Mary just commented that there has been lots of sightings in campgrounds. And we always have our feelings about sightings and stuff. But remember, at this time, I'm not ever talking much now about sightings and stuff. I tell you my videos that I can see them on, but I'd mostly talk about my adventures of the tracking end of it. So when I go to an area and I start looking at the bush, I kid you not, the information I've learned from them is actually a tracking skill to be able to connect in what's going on. The heaviness even, the lightness even, the whatever, and the information just starts to compile. Like, you know how to put out 90 words a minute or whatever type thing on this, and I can only do about 4 Out here, I'm at the 90 words, and I don't know if most people are at 4 yet in this adventure of information. Because I don't even hear many people doing much reference in a field of gorilla information. And if they're not referencing gorillas yet, then they're not getting close. So you have to learn the small marks. Anyway, so I go over there. And it's still daylight. Can't remember. I think it was just in the afternoon or whatever. And I head right to the campground areas. And I know because I've walked that part of our dike system. I used to live in Matsqueak, just down the dike. I've even, with our family and stuff, walked one of our kids' pet sheep up that dike a couple of times, where the sheep would just hang out with us. And she would be cool because she's with her group and she didn't have to be on a leash, because she knew she could recognize us, and that made her good. So we do that cool walk, is my point. We went on the pond there. We would the kids would ice skate it, blah blah blah. Real connection in this area. So now here I'm back there, and I go up to the campgrounds, and I go to the back of the campgrounds, and right away I see their trailing system. Right away I see their discouragement system for us. Right away I see their different practicalities, blah, blah, blah. For me, I was 100% realizing that, wow, these guys are chilling in our campgrounds. Like making their homes for their campgrounds. And I did whatever the rest of the time I did there, I'm not too sure. But I got video and such like that. So then I took off, and the next day I remember I'm trying to chill out, because that stuff made me very upset. Because I'm seeing different numbers than people. I'm understanding them different than other people. If you go back and listen to my thing, I'm not a guy that just has been thinking from the very beginning. There's Patty and Uncle Sid and the grandkids Jeremiah, and, you know. I'm now thinking that, wow, just these numbers around us. I understand the construction industry. I understand the tree industry. I have a lot of experiences in different industries where I can't say that I understand them greatly, but I say I can understand them in amounts that help credit me for this field of work. So anyways, the next day, it starts getting, it was somewhere around probably in the later evening. I think it was even in the dark when I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go over there in the dark. Gathered up, I think, some of my flashlight stuff. By that point there, I don't know how much I've done in the dark at that point, but I know I had at least done one pop in at my original first habitat, and I went in there for a little bit. And that night, there was, you know, that's when I was first figuring out, what's this fake dog stuff and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I come over here. And I'm at the thing, and around, let's call it about 8:30 in the evening, I'm walking this one part, and our water, now that I don't necessarily believe this, but it comes and it does its lapping and stuff, and there's these little step peel-aways, and a lot of them are like 6-8 inches and stuff, and it's all sandy, and different areas rocks are around, and small rocks, and it changes up. The river really does do its changing. And then these guys, remember, I do talk about them playing with the muck and the clay and all that kind of stuff, so that's why I included, you know, some of those steps we're going to figure out aren't fully natural. These guys are conforming banks. They do different things. I think it's just, sometimes it's just almost like a crazy thing for some of them. Or it's always a confusion. Whatever that's going to be. Anyways, I'm right at the water. I'm looking at 6 weeks in. I had a certain amount of fake dog information they would do. Human shoe information and all that kind of stuff. I can't remember all where I was at. But now I'm at the water, and I'm sure I'm examining this kind of thing with my flashlight. I had it going. And I had my camera on at that time, and I think it was this new camera. I just think it's on one of my bigger tapes, and I just haven't gone through them. I'm going to go through the micros because they're easy to put in my phone. And anyways, so I'm not 20 feet here, and I'm looking this way. This guy right here he does a slip with that foot right there as he's coming down that bank. You see this guy I'm pointing at here? He does a slip there, and he does a little skid of his heel. His toes do an extra press forward. Water comes to that just in with the toe inlay, because I all of a sudden started going like this, and at one point he just realized, whoops, and he does a squishy thing or whatever, and didn't have a time to go tamp or a rock or whatever, and he had to split out of there because I had a flashlight. And he wasn't sure how it was going to work out for him. Other than that, if I didn't have the flashlight, I wouldn't have been able to see anything, but they didn't know me well either. Anyways, if I remember correctly, I believe I came up with about a 9-inch foot on that one. Okay? And it was a beautiful print, and it's pushed into the sand, and it's all fresh, and it was, I think it was in September or something. I remember kind of realizing, no, there's no chance anybody's out here walking around barefoot or whatever. I don't think I had started going in sandals by then. I don't know. No, I was living off. I was living at the house back in the valley back there. So, anyways, so that happened. It was kind of interesting because it just kind of floated away from my mind that even went on, and I continued doing whatever I do, and I would have walked all the way. Now here's our big bridge. I'm walking kind of east, and I go under the big bridge, then I go to the train bridge, and I'm up on the dike system when I'm doing this. And so the train bridge, you get to walk over the track, or you can do a walk under the track. It's just an 8-10 foot difference in height or something. Anyways, I did the over the bridge. I was too paranoid, I think, I don't know. When I came back, I knew I didn't want to do it. I'm pretty sure I didn't do it. Anyways, I went over the bridge here, and a lot of this walk, I wasn't using light, so it was, I don't know how much, but I know I wasn't using flashlight a lot of it, so it was quite thrilling. It was quite adventurous. I can't be worried about this thing that is still not fully real. Or it was real to me. It was real for those few times that I'd had those connections, because what we're talking about now is coming up to my vocalization. So I go over the bridge, and when I go over the bridge, the dike does a split like this, and it's a lower thing. That just put that in a few years back, I knew. Anyway, so I did this, and I remember having my flashlight on then. I remember pointing at the trees and stuff and kind of saying stuff like, I'm not seeing that they're heavily walking through here at all. They're not really worrying about a trail system or anything in the immediate first. In the secondary part of it, you're getting into the big rocks on the river and stuff. And it didn't say, I have no clue if there's rocks right there that would be fully exposed. And if you asked me, I would say yes, they would have been fully rocked there and stuff. And a certain amount of brushy brush that our parks guys don't really clean up or anything, and they just kind of mow the front and stuff. So I'm standing right in that area, and I'm walking past it and stuff, and I'm doing my figuring out. I think I got to a little spot where I thought, hey man, it looks like they maybe hung out here a bit. Then I recalled, hey, the main reason I'm here is I'm supposed to be on the top of the dike checking out the corn, because that was a big reason for me going there, to look at the park, the campground, and to check out the corn because I had, at my other place over there, discovered they liked corn and cleaned it right to the bone and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, so I decided to go up onto the dike. I got up onto the dike. So what I had to do is I'm on a path. I cut through the grassy things. In that area, there was not very much tree there. It was just nice kind of whatever, rough grass up to the top of the dike. I'm walking the dike back. And before that part connected there, I don't know the exact location of where that would be. It could be way down, there's the lower part where I had walked. Yeah, there we go. So I had walked. And now they're in that vicinity somewhere while I'm walking here. I'm on the other side of the dike like this. I'm looking at the corn this way, doing whatever I'm doing. I have no flashlight on at this time. I have just my camera running. And I hear some kind of a noise. And this is the video where I talk about the big, the vocalization, threatening, attack, whatever's in the title there. And within the first 3 seconds, there's actually first a first noise, and then within that right around the 3-second mark, you hear another noise. Try to really connect with that noise. Eventually I'll be able to break it up, but what that noise is it's not first growl, I'm thinking, but it's first and highest, like loudest kind from what I relate to now on video of his growl. And that will come, the reason will come along. See, and even with this experience, I've even been telling people that, and I think it was like 30 seconds and stuff. Nobody ever has asked me once standing in front of me, so how long do you think it is? So to me, the world has to become like it's not that kind of a thing. So I would always say that. Well, recently I just went and looked at it, and I was very curious or whatever type thing. And I looked at it, and I still didn't lock in the time, but I think it's like a minute and maybe 20 seconds or 40. I don't know, but it's over a minute that I did my interaction. So that growling, whatever go on there, I stop and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard something. Remember, I don't have the best hearing. I got tinnitus, I got hyperacusis. Part of what those things do, remember what deaf people go through? Or blind people go through? They go through this stuff where they have to focus on their other stuff, their other capabilities. And I still have capabilities with my hearing structure is not this good through like vibrational and whatever. If you've studied up tinnitus, it might give you a little bit more of an understanding why that's, even when I'm talking like that. Anyways, so let's just say, give her thumbs up if you can, guys. And even if you're not enjoying the talk, thanks for the support, everybody who's popping in. Thank you. Anyways, so there's my camera. I'm going, like, what's up? In a moment within there, I started realizing there's some action going on there. There's something going on there. And so basically, in that minute or so of time now, if you really focus in and do headset and get all the other distractions away and stuff, you'll hear. This is what I imagine is this. I don't imagine, because that doesn't make sense to this, to me. So you figure out whatever you're figuring out. And that growl, the one at the 3 seconds, sounds trumpeted with lionish in it to me. And then near the end, I end up saying that, okay, we're going a little bit off color there. Hopefully it's still strong. It's just saying poor connection. I hope it's still going through, guys. Anyway, so near the end there, I end up saying, what did I say? Oh yeah, I end up saying, okay, I'm out here, guys, I get the hint or whatever type thing. I was really realizing that this guy he's not gonna stop. He's coming through whatever he's on the other side of or on this side of, and he's just hitting them from this side. I've got no clue. I don't recall if I even turned on my flashlight. You'll see on the video. Maybe I did. I think it was just kind of illuminated from the other side of the river. So you have to bring in noises from the other side of the river. Calculate it all out yourself. Don't believe me. Go in there and you calculate. We can, just because it's in here, it doesn't mean we can't discover areas of the sounds. We can at least split it in half in many cases, right? And then you can start to give things depths. You can start to maybe hear and understand more and through a picture. You guys get it. So, yeah, basically, I ended up walking off from that guy. Stopped a little bit down the path from him. Did a little bit of a challenge in part of, just trying to be that strong. A little bit, are you following me? Give me a hint. The anticipation of really wanting to know how far are you guys willing to take this. Since then, I have not had any kind of indication of that kind of a behavior towards me. Nothing where it seems aggressive. Aggressive or threatening. Nothing. Yeah, so I said about the print. Yeah, so in between the print, discovering that print, and coming across the confrontation was just approximately, I timed it to be about 45 minutes, so it was big. And you'll listen to that video and you'll hear lots going on for that minute or so. Trust, from when I go like this to when I stop, it happened. So now I'm going to check in to see if anybody has a question or anything. Poor connection, I don't know if anybody's out there. Thanks for hanging around, whoever was hanging around. And if there's still anybody hanging around, thank you. Testing. Testing's a good word. Teasing's not a good word. You know what I actually call it? Is I ended up thinking that, hey, that's kind of weird. I was tracking their old signs. I didn't know how to track fresh signs. So I'm tracking old signs, but then I did come across the fresh sign. So I was getting a piece of information about that. And then I continue tracking. Like I said, you know, I can't tell if they're in here much and stuff. So I'm tracking their old signs. What they were doing, as I ended up realizing, they were tracking my fresh signs. They were, by looking at me, by smelling me, by standing beside me, whatever, they were tracking. But then when they ended up doing the aggressive assault, that truly is assault. That's what we humans get heart murmurs from if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Heart attacks, whatever. Shit your pants, pee your pants. Just start to run and go crazy. You know what I heard. Whatever. People go through whatever they go through. Then there's other ones that, are approaching it different. I'm going through it in a kind of scientific mind, I guess, in a way, trying to figure, okay, what's going on? So these guys actually turned it to the state of no longer tracking, but I always get hung up on this word. I've gone and made the word that word. Anyways, stalking. So that's stalking. I believe right after stalking, we could probably Google it, and hunting is the next. Killing would be after hunting, I would imagine. So it's pretty heavy stuff. Yo. What's up, Scout? You just popping in, or are you hanging around? I think I'm doing that. This was part 2 of my kind of just getting to know me, and I jumped up to my, let's say around 6 weeks or something like that time. I don't know if that's going to be the end of this little thing. People can just figure me out for the rest of the time or whatever. Or what I'll do is I'll probably just keep, the odd time tell a story of what goes on and stuff out there. Because sometimes there's some wicked stuff, as you guys all know. We all know that now. All of us people are sticking around as long as we have been sticking around and just observing. Not even observing me. We've seen enough things through people's videos. We've seen enough things. I don't know all of you out there, but we've seen enough things out there in just the street settings. Like, I'm just driving here, and silly people still do gardening with these kind of bigger rocks. Bigger broken rocks, whether they're round, like river rock, or they're fracked rock, or whatever type thing. They put them on the side of their landscaping and stuff, and it never fails. If it's around a community, these guys, where they're frequent the community, they own the community, whatever that thing we're going to figure out fully is there. I just drove by, and up on the upper side of the road, I don't know, there was probably like 10 of them. And they're on a kind of a side for a driveway thing for a big trucking outfit to get their goods from down there. Yeah, and these rocks have just put up there. It's like, and people just think, one of the homeless guys went and did that extra labor and didn't save. I don't know. The way everybody was doing their stuff right here. I thought there was a big panic going on. But, you know, a homeless guy isn't going to do that. There's another spot where it frequently happens where, you know, sometimes we really think they do admire trash. And part of the reason, part of the thing we will see with 3, 5, whatever pieces of trash, you'll see them throwing up from like almost a bank side and stuff. Things that help make that uncharacteristic of a person doing it, of some other kind of an animal doing it. Is sometimes there'll be a couple of sticks with it. There'll be a couple of pieces of grass that maybe got pulled up too. So it was it in a moment of, what went down? Okay, Mom. And you know, because we find these different things at crossings and stuff, and we sometimes wonder why they're there. Well, all of a sudden, if a car has to go like this, well, it must have been that stick I seen. It wasn't at somebody's ankle I thought I seen, you know? When a guy realized, you're a stupid son, your ankle got caught in the headlights of the beam. They understand light different than us. We understand light like we understand light. And until you start walking around a lot at night, you don't understand light the way we should understand light. It's going to be freaky if we go black. If we go black for our, whatever, 8 hours a night, 12 hours a night, different areas, different things and stuff like that, it's a pretty freaky, life will change a lot. And these guys muck around with our power system so much, and I haven't figured out if I trust them. I know a lot of it seems to be just this nature push, but I don't understand how they seem to be ignorant in their screwing up a lot of our things. And a lot of those things you can see how it will grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and that thing would probably fall down. But we have our engineers for those certain big things that are going in there and, oh, look at this bridge. How come it's decaying here and stuff? Well, let's do the seismic upgrade. That's what seismic upgrading is it's starting to fail, upgrade it. Oh, it's starting to fail some more, upgrade it. And you just add more and add more steel. Something running up the highway. Those ambulances it's like they're coming into our hospital. Anyways, so there's a lot of things that these guys are mucking around with. Anybody got anything going on? Get the candles ready, yeah? Anyone who lives out of their car to do Bigfoot research is really committed, yeah. There's reward. There's reward. I could probably figure out a different way to live. Not so much out of my car, right? But, you know, there's reward in everything we do. Pretty much. Even the ones that feel unrewarded, just get out of it and go for the reward, I guess, eh? And that's the reward. I spent 2.5 days in the woods last weekend. Did you? That is Scout, the M-Beast. Yeah, eh? That's crazy, man. With your girlfriend? Tenting? Cabin? Found amazing things. So not tenting, I guess, then, eh? Or no girl, okay. On your own. Solo. Staying awake. You spend the night awake. Did you spend pretty much the whole time awake, or did you cat nap during the day? Did you get out of your truck? It's freaky, man, when you're out there, isn't it? It is incredibly freaky. I've been, cat napping in the sun morning and stuff. Okay. Right on. But I tell you, man, it's freaky, eh? You do the no flashlight thing too, like go out of the truck, or do you actually go for walks down trails? What are you up to? I'm getting poor connection, it says, so. So whatever that means. It's thick, no trails, yeah. There's always trails. You just have to figure out how they're getting through the thick part of it easy. They don't like to have congested walkways through, right? Okay, I will. I'll check them out on your YouTube there, Scout. The M Beast. Game trails. They're not game trails, dude. They're their trails. You're the one hanging out there. Where's the game? We're coming to this understanding they ain't game. In some areas where we see all those sheep and all those, well, even around here, there's not super deer, I know, but you know, most of the deer in within the suburbs of whatever are going to be a deer that happens to be there. And mostly, in most cases, the ones that are being kept and corralled into that area for the inner city clans, you know, suburbs of their clans, whatever. They work together to, you can't upset the guy who's hanging out beside the people. And Patty has to understand that she has to be connected with them in a calmness of a way that they're not fighting and disturbing the system that we have grown accustomed to. And because we're growing accustomed to it, there is obvious they have a certain amount of let's just call it moral connection within themselves, whether it's instinctual or what. But it's part of the thing that keeps them tied. So when you see a deer, just watch her for a while. You know, start to figure out if there's a couple of more with her. Start to figure out how mellow she is. Start to figure out if you can get close to her. Start to become her friend. And see how chilled she is like that. Wild deer aren't going to be acting like that. And it's not just because they're running through the city. They start, oh, these humans don't have guns. That's not too bad. It's not like that. Part of the thing is their thrill has been quaked. I think these guys sort of threw them through a little bit of a spin. And because they're kind of they're not spooked anymore, they're just unsure. You know, they don't want to run anymore. They're just willing to take it and admire it and figure it from a distance. They walk past us from a bit of a distance and we're not bothering them. They keep us in the deer is keeping us in that same calculation as whoever was throwing that rock or is whoever's making the dog sounds, you know, whatever. Remember those dog on just the other night? Me there's 7 minute of dog stuff going on, kind of. That totally on some realms been deer control and T's and Tinman. I know there was T's and Tinman right here. Right beside my camp. That rock that hit at, I want to say 1 minute something, 107. I don't think it was a wood knock. It has a characteristic a bit about it, but when I was standing there, I took it more in as a rock knock. So maybe a rock tossed and hit. Didn't feel like it, to me it wasn't like, yeah. But it doesn't mean I'm right. I don't know what kind of a tree got hit, right? You know, we do this stuff. We all know how we do that. We're trying to come up with answers. We're trying to do calculating and figuring all that kind of stuff. And no disrespect, you know that, Mark, when I'm saying, you know, my stuff as opposed to your stuff, maybe. I'm not saying that my stuff is here. I'm not saying all of my stuff is right. I think my stuff is, like, there's a number of people who help support it with pretty intellectually sounding comments of saying it really does sound like this is a path to the knowledge of these beings. And all I keep saying to people is just go out there and look at the trees yourself. As I got a piece right here that I haven't picked up for a long time. And time to get some light happening. There we go, people. You know how you do this, eh, with a magnet. Oops. Keep the towel up there with a magnet. So, you see those little holes right there? See all that stuff? The people, oh no, those are bugs. That's bugs, Tinman. See even these little white notches? What we're going to do with these things, you guys, is, sure, you might be right if you're sitting there saying right now, Tinman, no, Bigfoot doesn't do that. And I'm going to give you credit for that and say you might be right. But what science will do is they're going to decide if they think Bigfoot does that or not. These little white marks. So don't throw it out of your mind. It has to be figured if that's a it doesn't have to, but it will be figured if that's a pre-skinnial mark. Okay? Non-depth skinning, non-full depth, because youngness, there's going to be different levels of, you'll be amazed once you start to understand their techniques on what they're doing and how they're stimulating trees. They're stimulating trees to grow from the base. Say this is the base right here. This is the whole base. This part is underground. This part is above ground. There we go. This part is the underground. This part is the above ground. Well, that base just keeps growing within us. You know how a tree kind of just, to me, just grows from here, and he just keeps growing, and he does his things, getting taller and stuff. Fraction movement here, fraction movement for what goes on here. But now that we're in an era of not seeing fraction movement anymore, so let's just say that what I was talking about is actually just here now. And that is just, so this area, they do a compilation of stimulation. I believe some of it is underground. It helps with the root growth. What we see above the ground in our old understanding, we used to think, okay, there's about that much above ground, there's about that much underground. Now what we're going to end up figuring out is, there's that much above ground, hey, there's only this little much underground. Or vice versa. There's that much above ground, that tree's taking forever to grow or whatever. But meanwhile, below here, a hole, and I'm always coming back into that root maze of, okay, it can hold up a lot of stuff. It can hold, if it's designed properly, it can hold up all the earth and stuff within whatever thickness that they're engineering has succeeded in doing. Think about it. Hey, okay, Big Grandpa, you go up and jump up on top and see if this is well constructed. How much do you weigh now? I weigh 1,100 pounds. Right? We got to bring these things into consideration. I got no idea if anybody's watching, and I'm just having a good time. And I thank you guys for tuning in with the Tinster here. I thank you for listening for my rhetoric, my whatever, on the sciences of Bigfoot. You're here, Mary. Cool. Cool. Thank you so much for hanging out. It was a good time. Was that pretty good on kind of, you probably, obviously, you must have watched my first one, Mary, my first 23 days. Right on, perfect. Mary says she loves to hear me. So people out there, please thumbs, people. Hey, CA, you enjoyed it, awesome, man. So please thumb. You know what you do is, we all have one of those friends, and you just say, hey friend, do me a favor, and you email it to them. And because lots of people, how you talk to lots of people and they go, oh, I don't watch YouTube. And you say to them, well, you ever watch a video on your email or something like that? Yeah. Well, I would say probably, I don't know, but I'm going to guess like 90% of them would be from YouTube, from their program of using that window. And that's part of the awesome success of YouTube, is they early on gave us this free opportunity to be able to save our videos. I recommend that to almost anybody. Just save your videos on there. You don't have to sell it. You don't have to give it to them. You can keep it stored just for your thing forever. and just that your tap-in code you got there, you can just save it for your family or whatever. And it's a great way for you to have a compilation of videos. And I'm sure there's a way where they can go on there, some stuff just coming on, they can go on there and they'd be able to save it onto their CD or whatever type thing, right? So it's a pretty cool window that way, I think. I don't know. Maybe there's easier ways to do it. But I know in the original days I thought that. So thank you again. And you know what? I don't know if you know, but I suffered too much here. This noise, I could not calm down because of this noise. Like it's distracting every time to me and stuff. And it pulls too much away from my, and I couldn't go sit out there, couldn't handle it with windows shut and stuff. I got to find a better place to do my connection, or I'll try at one of the lousy places again, and we'll have to suffer through it. But I like doing this too. I believe that people sometimes can see more of the wholeheartedness of a human being through what feels that much closer to be sitting in front of them. So someday maybe you guys will be able to sit in front of me. Maybe we'll be to like, I think that to myself, like, where am I going on this chariot ride? You know, I say that to because all my children are coming into the real world. And I say, you guys, you know, this is a real world thing, man. And there's a lot of organizations that are going to be affected in good ways, where we're going to get to turn stuff into making money. It's not about my sticker for sale, you know. That's me. This is what I want to do. But with the support of this great organization right here, YouTube, who doesn't love YouTube, eh? Who doesn't love YouTube? Excusez-moi. Yeah, I'm just chilling a bit, I guess, now. So if anybody's out there chilling, I can get, like, I didn't think to get rid of this stuff. Mary, you're good. You can help me out a little bit. Say the gift up. Oh shit, it just fell off. I don't like that. Oh, I see what happened. No, I don't. I don't know anything. I'll tell you a quick story. Keep my eye on you out of the light. See this guy here? It used to look pretty nice. It's got the copper on this end. Well, me with my family, my whole family, a big family trip. A big family trip. I helped also orchestrate it. Like, I helped encourage the family, and, you know, there was a couple others, and we went out and had like 18 of us went on a cruise vacation. I thank life for that, to be able to have that experience with my family. You know, knowing that so many people are having sad stuff that are going on with their family and stuff like that, right? So we always are allowed to look at fun, great times. Yeah. So there was 18 of us then that did that, including my father, that at that time, my mom was passed already then, so my dad would have, I can't remember, but I'm going to go with 74 years old or something. I got to push this button again. 74, somewhere around there. And then 2 sisters, my brother, myself, a bunch of nieces and nephews, some second nieces and nephews, my 4 children, my ex-wife that wasn't an ex-wife then, and so on and so forth. And we did the cruise where you fly down to, did we go out to LA? No, we went out of Phoenix, right? Phoenix is on the ocean? No, not Phoenix. Anyways, you know, where they got some of the naval battleships are in there, like it's like a museum or something like that. Okay, thanks, Mary. You know, so that museum out of that city there, which is also another big city, obviously off the ocean down there, and the Pacific down near the end or something, or an inwards inlet or something. I have no clue. Anyways. So we went out of there. It was like 10-day trip, I think. It was a good one. And we landed, we went on the cruise. It was a big ship. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of hate. We had a lot. San Diego, thank you very much. CA, you are the winner. Anyways, so we went out there. We had a great time. We had a miserable time. You know, me with, you know, I was able to focus pretty good. And because if I get too upset, you start getting mad. I'm trying to hold this. And you start, you know, whatever type thing. So I was really trying to avoid that. But there was a lot of just little spatty things going on. You know, family is sometimes, right? And they weren't seeing well, some family members are going to be watching this and they will have their difference in opinion about it. So, and I've heard a couple of them say actually they did focus in that they did have a really good time and stuff, so that's good. Anyways, what was I saying about that trip? What was I saying about that trip? This bracelet. This bracelet I purchased in La Paz, Mexico, which is not the inner city, it's the one that's on the Sea of Cortez. I just loved La Paz at that in particular time. So like I'm talking, this is, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, but I don't think so. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to say about 7 years ago. And La Paz was just an amazing, great adventure for me. I really liked it. And we did our walk. We did our own family walk, and my big family and stuff, they went off and did different things and stuff. And when we were coming back, there was nowhere to, it was such a small, remote thing that I enjoyed it so much, in part, that there was only one lady that we came across we didn't go up any of these roads much. But on this main thoroughway here, there was only one lady that was making a few things, and this was one of the things. But it actually had an old kind of, I don't know, it might have been this twine, but it had some kind of a twine there that twined it. That twine ended up, well, I'm getting to that part of the story. So anyways, I bought this thing, and on the cruise as we're coming out of there, I don't know if you know the spot, but go look at it. And on the cruise as you're coming out of there and stuff, whale coming in there and all the big sea lions, different things like that at different points, different times, stuff like that, right? As you're just coming out of there and just one of those beautiful nights, you know, and all this kind of stuff. I was wearing my new bracelet or whatever, and I decided that I was going to make what do you call it? Whatever, an oath or whatever, to come back to this place. No, it wasn't that. I'm wrong. I was just right into the moment, enjoying it, loving it, all that kind of stuff. My brother ended up coming out and stuff, and we ended up hanging out there, all this kind of stuff. And the boat went, and we left, and I got back. And sometime within my first week or something like that, really missing the place, I was wearing this thing, and I'm bad for taking things off and not wearing them and stuff, right? So I decided, you know what, I'm going to leave this thing on my wrist for fun, and until it breaks off, falls off naturally, I'm just going to leave it on. So anyways, I'm going to make a long story short here. I had it on there for probably 2.5 months or something. In that time, I did a 2-month period job where I worked close to 300 hours on each month. I made a shitload of cash, really good job, made lots of money, made this, built a restaurant that's called, out here in Canada, that's called Tim Hortons, that's moving into America and is on your guys' TradeX system and stuff. So I would make sure I would invest money in there if you're that type of a person. If you're not, then don't do it. Anyways, I built one of their stores. On my very last day of doing it, was chaotic. You must imagine by those hours, making lots of money is always nice and stuff, but just chaotic and stuff like that, right? On my very last day, I had to go by there and just, you know, they're already running and stuff, making donuts again and stuff. And I go in there and I'm pulling out my last of tools, my set of drawings, whatever going on and stuff. I was the site supervisor. I was the guy who would go to site first and leave last, unless I figured out how I'd be able to treat myself and have somebody else do it for me. I was the type of guy that didn't like passing that key too much and stuff. It was a real major renovation where there was structural stuff that went on. It wasn't like you were just building a restaurant. I had to model the actual structuralness of the building, take out an integral structural shear wall and build a new one while businesses continued running and all that kind of stuff. So it was a big project. So when I got done, I drove to the warehouse. I get out of my truck, my door, it was my white Dodge, my door's open and stuff. I'm around the back because my truck was running, I think, because it was such a short unload, right? And it was just at the company warehouse, just unloading my stuff, whatever. I look at my resume, and it's funny because I even noticed it, eh? Come walking around here and it's laying like this way on my seat. And with the strap broken. I think I ended up using the strap and stuff, but that strap ended up decaying away where I've turned it into this copper one, real leather. So, you know, and the lady was just a beautiful lady with her, I think she had 2 kids, and we ended up buying cones right there. Me with my family, and my kids were having a great moment. Me and my ex, I'm sure we're having a great moment. You're just in this great place, right? And all the different colors and stuff like that. And yeah, and you know, you're doing something good there. I'm one of these guys that want, you know, just give a little bit more, and, you know, you have to wheel and deal, whatever type thing, right? Yeah, and we walked away from there, and that whole story ended up coming out of that little bracelet thing. So yeah, and that's where it's taken me. It's not like this one has necessarily brings on all my luck or anything like that through the rest of my story, because what if I lost it? What if I do lose it? I don't want to lose that luck, right? Anyway, so I think for real, I'm calling her quits. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Hope you enjoyed a good time. I should have turned you around and stuff, but I don't want to do that now. Peace out. Thanks, everybody.